What's going on, guys? Stefan here with you, S&E's Garage, and today we are going to be fixing a coolant leak on our 2006 Lexus IS350. So in our last video with this car, we went ahead and installed a beautiful Revel Medallion exhaust on it. Sounds absolutely fantastic. We might have gotten a little overzealous and pushed the car a little harder than we usually do. And it responded back by splitting the radiator at the upper seam. So started smelling coolant, and as you can see, the coolant just kind of shot back and covered the whole engine bay. All I did here is I took the engine cover off, which was also covered in coolant, and I took the front under panel shield off, which basically goes right here, just to kind of get access to the radiator and see what was going on. And like I said, that is what we found. Let me grab a flashlight here just to give you a closer look. But you'll see right at that top seam, it's split. So we're going to go ahead. We already went ahead and ordered a replacement. We're just going to go ahead and start the process. We're going to get this radiator out of the car. That way when the new one comes in, we can just drop it in. So let's go ahead and let's get started. All right, guys, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time for the noise in the background. I have my kerosene heater on. It's kind of noisy. Wasn't expecting to come out here tonight, or I would have fired up the wood stove a couple of hours ago. That's besides the point. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and pull this air snorkel out. And we're just going to go ahead and get ready to pull this upper radiator support off. This whole unit comes off, and basically the whole top of the radiator will be accessible. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then once we get this off, we're going to go under the car and we're going to drain the coolant. This is going to be held in with one 10mm bolt, and then it will come out. Then I like to go ahead and thread these bolts back into where I got them from. All right, guys, so the next thing you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and get this wire loom here unclipped from the radiator support. Just use a flathead screwdriver, and you're gonna get in here and push these tabs in, and you'll see this is now nice and loose. So now we're just gonna go ahead and start pulling bolts. There's gonna be one here, one here, one here, one here, and then there's several on the front here that are gonna tie the front of this core support to basically the support of the bumper that we're gonna go ahead and remove, and we'll show you everything we took out once we get this guy out. All right, guys, so what you're gonna see here is we have the core support just up and over. It's still wired in and connected. I didn't really feel the need to go ahead and disconnect everything, so it's still wired up. We did take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts out, so there was a 5th one hiding down below that we were able to access via this lower bumper grill, whatever you want to call it here. So now there are going to be 4 10mm bolts that we're going to have to remove the air conditioning condenser from the radiator itself. So we're going to go ahead and take them out. Guys, so what you're going to see now is we got our bolts out here for the condenser. So the condenser is separated from the radiator. And we've also gone ahead and started to drain the radiator. The petcock is going to be closer to the passenger side of the vehicle. Let me just get you off this tripod and show you exactly where it's at really quickly. So you will see it right down there. It's that little white thing, more or less. But you'll see it's draining. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the fans from the radiator itself. We're just going to unclip them here, 1, 2, and 3, and just kind of push them back. We're going to leave the fans in the car. I don't want to take the radiator out with the fans on it. I want to separate them. It's just less wire harness that I have to interfere with. So your best bet to get to the lower hose is going to be right through basically the access port here for the oil filter. We went ahead and unclamped that lower hose so we can pull that hose off. Just watch out for excess coolant, and then we can pull the radiator out. And with any luck, after you take your lower hose off, you will literally just pull straight up and the radiator will come right out. Again, leaving the air conditioning condenser and the cooling fans in the car. Now, based on what I see here with all of that buildup in that bottom corner, I suspect that to be an air conditioning leak, likely originating from the AC condenser. So I am going to have to check my air conditioning this summer. Last summer was basically my first summer with the car, and it worked, but the owner did have it charged previously. So that just looks to me like air conditioning oil has been kind of blowing into that. So it is something for me to keep an eye out for. But what I want you to take a look at is right under here. You can see where all of our coolant buildup is. So what was happening is it was leaking here and then blowing back and up. And you can just see all over here. So this radiator, again, this car is a 2006. And we are all the way in 2025 now. So this radiator has truly stood the test of time. Almost 20 years and 158,000 miles before it finally screwed the pooch. So what we are going to do while we have this apart, I'm going to call Lexus tomorrow, going to order upper and lower hoses, and I'm going to order an original equipment radiator cap just to make sure everything's good. I was toying with the idea of putting a thermostat in it. If they're cheap, I'll order one. If not, I'm just going to leave it alone because the car is running good and I don't have any issues. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But with that being said, as soon as we get these parts in, we'll start back up. We'll get the radiator in. And here we have our nice new Denso, unfortunately made in Indonesia radiator, but it is a brand new radiator and it is a Denso. Denso is what these cars came with. However, if you look, this is a Denso Japan. So the one that came out of the car was made in Japan because the car was made in Japan. But what we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and set these side by side. We're going to make sure everything is the same. And as long as it is, we're going to drop it right in. Now, we are just going to have to drop it in between, like I said before, the radiator and the fans, or the condenser rather, and the fans. And then there's just a couple of clips down at the bottom that the fan is going to slide into here and there. So we'll go ahead and do that. But first, like I said, let's get them next to each other, make sure they're the same, and then we'll drop it in. So here we have the new radiator next to the old one. You'll see all of the provisions are in the right spot, the drain's in the right spot, the hose is in the right spot, or the hose barbs, the clips on the top are in the right spot. And if we look at this heat exchanger, it is the same thickness. The only thing we're missing is that foam. I don't think that's a huge deal. That's just to seal the fans. It's not 100% necessary. So let's go ahead. Now we know this is good. Let's drop it in the car. Now we do just want to be careful here not to nick or damage this radiator in any way. So we're just going to move some things in here around as best we can before we drop it in. Now there are two rubber grommets that should be down in your lower radiator core. They're going to go here and here. This is going to slide right into that. All right, everything here looks lined up. I'm just gonna lift up the car now, and we're gonna double check underneath that the radiator is in its little grommets. I'll show you that, and then we'll take it from there. So with any luck, what you should see is your fan is going to be clipped in to that bracket there and into that bracket there. And then you will also see your radiator sitting in the rubber feet that it is designed to be sitting in. So now is going to be your opportunity to go ahead and reconnect your lower hose, double check that the petcock is tight, and then we can go up top and we'll show you what we have to do with the air conditioning condenser and the fans up top. Here we are topside. Once you get your cooling fans clipped in the way they belong, you can go ahead and slide them into these clips up top. And then this little hose here, it's like a little outlet that goes into the fuse box. I guess it helps cool the fuse box down. You can reconnect that there to the fan, so we will do that. And then you can go ahead and bolt your air conditioning condenser back up to the radiator with the 4 bolts that we removed earlier, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. We already went ahead and did that. And then we're gonna go ahead and take our rubber grommets here for the radiator and drop them into their new home. So let's go ahead. Like I said, we're going to reconnect that little funnel there, or that little air scoop, and then we're going to go ahead and put our core support back in. All right, we got our core support back on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6th bolt under there. So before I do anything else right now, I want to make sure that my hood latch lines up, because a part of the core support is that latch. We're just going to push down on this. It's going to line up just fine, so we are good there. So now we are at a point where we can fill it up with coolant. That's what I'm going to do first. So we're going to grab a spill-proof funnel. It's one of these guys here. It looks like this. I'm going to grab the right adapters for it, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in here where the radiator cap goes. Now, it is worth mentioning, like I said, we did pick up an original equipment radiator cap. These hoses ended up, they were going to be like over $100 from Lexus, and Toyota Lexus hoses are actually really high quality, so I didn't want to replace it with aftermarket, so I said, the heck with it, we'll just run, you know, the original ones. They're still in nice shape. They're not cracked. They're not brittle. So we're good there. So let's go ahead, clean out our funnel, and get it set up here, and let's start dumping some original equipment Toyota Lexus coolant in it. All right, guys, so what we have set up here is our spill-proof funnel. This is going to allow you to bleed the cooling system. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to run the car like this until you hear the cooling fan cycle on at least 2 times. That's going to let you know that the thermostat is open. Every once in a while, what I like to do is I'll just come over here and I'll grab the hose real quick. I'll give it a quick squeeze. You know, I'll make sure I don't have any major air bubbles going on in here. If you do, you'll see a bunch of bubbles come out. If you want, you can go in the car, raise the idle a little bit to help it warm up a little bit faster, but it is not absolutely necessary. So you can just come in here, bring it up to like 3,000 RPM. Every once in a while, just to kind of help, you know, move that coolant around. And eventually what you should see is this coolant level here start to drop, and you'll see these little bubbles that are in the system disappear. That is going to tell you that the system is burped. So we're just basically playing a waiting game here. There's no reason for you guys to keep watching me while I do this. We'll show you how it looks when we're done. All right, guys, so we've been monitoring our coolant temperature here. Coolant's at about 203 degrees. We went ahead and felt both of our hoses. Both of our hoses are hot. There go the fans the second time. So everything here is good. We threw our radiator cap back on, the nice new one. We're going to go ahead, throw our engine cover back on, and we're going to call this one complete. So if this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.